Hey, what's up guys? It's been a while. I am sorry about that. Today's video I'm going to be diving into talking about the new film from Marvel, which is Doctor Strange. And alongside that I'm going to be just saying a few notes on Girl on the Train, both films that I've seen recently. Before we get into it though, I'm just going to quickly explain why I haven't posted a video in a little while. Way back when I was supposed to post a video, I did have a video. It was edited and ready to upload, and at the very last minute I no longer felt comfortable posting it and I just chickened out and I didn't want to post it. So it left me without a video that week. The reason I didn't want to post it was just because it was more of a video that kind of went into some personal stuff to do with me and feelings and stuff. It was kind of this 50-50 decision on whether or not that's the sort of content I wanted to post, and the reasons behind why I do these YouTube videos is more for sort of fun and editing practice and stuff. So I decided against it, and then the week after that I actually had issues with my subscription on the Adobe Cloud for Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro is the professional editing software that I use to edit my videos, and I get the subscription via my university, and there was just some troubles with that, so then I couldn't edit the next video, and then we kicked into uni full swing. It's done now. I've sorted my shit out, and now I'm ready to start posting videos again. So without further ado, let's get stuck into Doctor Strange. So I'm pretty sure you've all heard of Doctor Strange. It's the next Marvel film in the cinematic universe, and so I kind of felt obliged to go and see it, just in case I missed any sort of important points out in sort of the entire timeline plot. You can probably guess from the title of my video, I didn't really enjoy this film. I felt incredibly sort of underwhelmed with what I was watching, and yeah, I'm just going to go into why it is that I really disliked Doctor Strange. Now, I wouldn't say that it's a bad film, because it's not. It's very well made. There's clearly a phenomenal amount of talent that has worked on this film. So the reasons why I didn't really enjoy this film were because the story I felt was so flat. It's another regurgitated hero's journey, and there was just nothing fresh and nothing new, especially as like a filmmaker, and at the moment I'm studying particularly narrative. I just knew everything. I knew exactly when everything was going to happen, and I mean that's probably more like a personal thing because I study it. For those that don't study it, I don't know, but I feel like a lot of us have watched enough film to be able to understand narrative and predict what's happening next, and it didn't do anything to surprise me. And those of you that have watched my other movie reviews, if you want to impress me with a film, you have to surprise me. You have to do something that makes me go, ooh, I wasn't expecting that. And I was expecting every single second of Doctor Strange. So yeah, really flat storyline. Just felt like another superhero film. I really wish I hadn't gone to see it, but I went to see it with my dad, and that was probably the highlight, was getting to enjoy it with my dad sitting next to me. The other big issue that I have with this film is all of the computer animation, all of the CG. I think that this is a classic case of when a film goes too far. I've always been intrigued as to, you know, what would happen to a film if the majority of it was all kind of reliant on computer graphics and animation. And a lot of us in the industry, you know, there is this kind of slight fear thing going on of like, oh, okay, what is the future as our jobs as cinematographers and things like that if we're not going to be needed, it's all going to be computer generated. And what I did like about this film is that it showed me just how terrible films are with the overuse of computer animation, and it was just uncomfortable and unpleasant to watch. You know, my brain is definitely not fooled when there is so much in there. You know that what you're watching is so fake, and because it was so fake, it just felt like I was observing. It didn't feel like I was submerged. I didn't feel like I was part of the adventure. I felt like I was just watching it. I could feel the cinema screen. Those that watch enough films know what you mean by like just you could feel that was there. You didn't feel like you'd just been dropped into the world. You were observing it, and I think the best way to describe Doctor Strange is it literally feels like you've been dropped in the middle of a kaleidoscope. You know, one of those things you used to play with as a kid where you like look through it and all the funny sort of shapes all sort of contort into each other. That's what I felt like. And, you know, it just made me feel a bit nauseous and it was too much. I was just like, Jesus, can I just see something realistic, please? I felt like the characters were kind of weak. Like, there was some funny bits in it, don't get me wrong, but my favourite character in the entire thing was the fucking cape. My favourite character is a garment. You know, all the others are just kind of, I don't really give a crap about anyone. I think it was a really, really weak film. So my initial thoughts on this film, I wrote some notes just as I finished watching it, which is what I normally do, is that it felt like Avengers meets Inception on acid, and that it was just too much and it was just uncomfortable to watch. There were bits of the film that I enjoyed, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel like it was worth the endurance of all the rest of the film to get to those bits that I enjoyed. You know, there weren't enough of them. And the final point that I want to make about this is, you know, the only reason I kind of agreed to go and see it was to see where its place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was. And I didn't want to miss any important information. Just a disclaimer, spoiler alert. So far I haven't really dived into sort of the storyline. This is a huge spoiler, so for anybody that kind of doesn't want anything given away, skip to a time in which I'll put in the description where the spoilers finish, and you can watch the rest of my film. So what I want to talk about is the ending of the film, which is how it kind of ties greatly into the cinematic universe. And I'm no fucking like Marvel genius, so for those of you that like are really into the comic books and stories and stuff, please forgive me, okay? This is just as a viewer of the rest of the Marvel films. So the ending where Doctor Strange ends up becoming the guardian of one of the Infinity Stones, and the Infinity Stone was kind of the crux of the whole film without him realizing it with the little amulet thing. Okay, that was pretty cool. Like, great, now we have he's the guardian, if you wish, a keeper of one of the Infinity Stones. That makes sense, that ties him into the universe. Do I feel like we needed an entire film to accept that? No. I feel like he could have popped up in another film as like, oh, there's a person called Doctor Strange who's pretty cool and he guards the Infinity Stone. I'd have just accepted that as a person. Like, I didn't feel like the film as a whole did much except introduce you to that character. Now, that character could well sort of have needed that background check, if you wish, done on him for like later on, by all means, but yeah, right now I'm kind of thinking, all right, so this whole film was to introduce him as one of the people with the Infinity Stones and whatnot, so that's great, but I feel like that could have been done in like a montagey kind of 5-minute segment in one of the other films. I don't feel like Doctor Strange needed his own film. I'm not a huge fan of Benedict Cumberbatch either. I know, blasphemy, but you know, I've not seen him in a whole lot of things, and I've never been like particularly overwhelmed with what he's done. But I haven't seen a lot of stuff, so don't kill me for that. So yeah, that was my thoughts, my sort of initial thoughts on Doctor Strange. A film that I am going to talk about now is a film that I actually much preferred, and that was The Girl on the Train. I went to see this actually before Doctor Strange because I am a little bit sick of superhero films right now. I've watched so many of them, and after X-Men Apocalypse, which was a fantastic film, but it was pretty much the same as all the other films, you know, I'm so sick of like, oh, the universe is, you know, in severe danger of being completely destroyed. Oh, here's our team of heroes to come and save the day. I just don't think I can do it anymore. I just want to watch something different. And I've watched quite a few films recently that are all different and I've absolutely loved. Starting with Girl on the Train. So this is like a thriller. Lead actor, or actress rather, Emily Blunt plays a drunk, and she gets involved in this sort of small knit suburban neighbour situation involving her ex-husband and somebody that's missing. Does the whole sort of thriller journey where she's the one that sort of starts to uncover all of the information. So it is your typical thriller, but it was done really, really well. I heard some people say that it was quite slow paced, but I didn't really feel that. I felt really engaged the entire time, like it was feeding you information. Emily Blunt's performance was amazing. She plays a complete fucking weirdo, but it was really, really sort of realistic, and I was entirely convinced. I wouldn't be surprised if she'd been knocking back the whiskies beforehand, because I mean, it was just great. I felt tense and just really, really enjoyed it, and it was a breath of fresh air from all these fucking superhero films. So if it's still in the cinemas or anywhere near you, I would definitely recommend it. I think it's a really fucking good film, and yeah, go see it. The next film that I'm just going to quickly drop in there is a independent film. I believe it was made by sort of, you know, independent film companies in New Zealand, but I haven't looked that up and I'm too lazy to right now because I'm just making a really quick note on it, and that is Hunt for the Wilder People. If any of you have heard of that or come across going to see it, if you like the film director Wes Anderson, you will most definitely guaranteed to enjoy this film. It was possibly the funnest experience I have had in the cinema for a really long time. Laugh out loud, funny, and just really, really fun journey, really fun adventure that you felt like you'd been on. Really, really unique characters, and I've still got a lot of like the film quotes and songs and things like that in my head, which is always a good thing because I have such a shit memory, hence I write everything down after I'd seen a film. And then finally, something which I got recommended to me by so many people, I went to see a sci-fi film that's in the cinemas at the moment called Arrival. I unfortunately had the entire sort of the hook and the twist of the film spoiled for me by a friend who had already seen it, and they told me. So about a sort of 20 minutes into the film, I already knew like the kind of the bit that was supposed to make everyone be like, oh my god, this is a really different film. So that kind of sucked for me, so I'm not going to give that away during this, but it's a sci-fi film. It does involve aliens, and it just feels big, and it's a really kind of meaningful film. I liked it more after it had finished, so it's a little bit slow paced, but I would recommend bearing with it, because by the end of it, when you start to think more and more about what they've done and what they've touched on, the more you're just like, yeah, that was a really, really amazing film. But definitely go in knowing as little as possible. But for anybody that wants to go to the cinema at the moment, what I would recommend is to just ditch the fucking high-end, overly budgeted for marketing, like blockbuster films, and try go for something just slightly under, something where you're like, oh, I'm not really sure if I've heard a lot of that, I haven't seen it a lot advertised. Go for something where you're not guaranteed to know what's going to happen. Go out on a whim. Go see Arrival, go see Girl on the Train, go see something that's just not top dog at the cinema, and I think at the moment right now you definitely won't be disappointed. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do give me a thumbs up if you have enjoyed what I've said. Please give comments on your thoughts of the films. Like, I fucking love talking about films, so yeah, let me know what you thought about them. Anybody that's watched them, have a discussion and everything, and yeah, I will see you next time.